Good evening. Welcome to Moshiach Mystery series. This evening we are going to be talking more about what it means to live with Moshiach. One of the questions I think people have about what it means to live with Moshiach is seemingly right now we're still in Golus. We're still in exile. Moshiach hasn't yet actually come in actuality. The Geula Hamitis of Hashlema, the true and complete redemption, hasn't yet occurred. So, how can I live with Mashiach today? Or what does it even mean to live with Mashiach? Seemingly, Mashiach's going to come sometime in the future, hopefully very soon. But till that moment, we're still in Golus. So, what does it even mean that I should live today, at this moment, the second before Mashiach comes, with Mashiach? So, I think there are different answers to this question. We talked about it also in some of the previous Shiurim. But I think in a very general way, the Rebbe answers this question, discusses this question, answers this question in the Sicha of Parshas Kiseitze, Tafshin Nun Aleph, 1991, the summer of 1991. So we'll go through some points of the Sicha, and I think as we go through this, we'll see how the Rebbe is really discussing and answering this question. So some of it we'll do outside, we'll do some parts inside. So the discussion over here in the Sicha is that, so Parshas Ki Sava comes right after Parshas Kiseitze. On the same Shabbos that we read Parshas Kiseitze, we also read Parshas Ki Sava. Because at Mincha of Shabbos Parshas Kiseitze, we read Parshas Ki Sava. So we know that everything in Torah is Bashkacha Pratis, everything in general is Bashkacha Pratis, and there's nothing that happens by chance. And definitely in Torah, there's nothing that's just there by chance. The fact that on the very same Shabbos we read Parshas Kiseitze and Parshas Ki Sava, there must be a connection between the two. So the question is that seemingly, if you look into what Parshas Kiseitze and Parshas Ki Sava are talking about, they're two totally opposite things. Kiseitze is talking about going out to war. And Parshas Ki Sava is talking about entering into Eretz Yisroel and settling down. So going out to war and settling down in Eretz Yisroel are two opposite things. And because Rabbi says, "B'pashtos," it says in Parshas Ki Sava, yalas v'yirishta v'yashavta ba. It says you should dwell in Eretz Yisrael. So, dwelling in Eretz Yisrael, that implies that you're there b'menucha, b'hisyashvus. You're there at peace. You're settled. When you talk about going out to war, so war implies that the exact opposite. Heder hamenucha v'hisyashvus. It's the exact opposite of being at rest and at peace. So that's just in the literal sense. And the same thing also applies also in the and what Kiseitze and Ki Sava mean in Avodas Hashem. So what's the concept of Kiseitze and Ki Sava in Avodas Hashem? Kiseitze, Chassidus explains what's the concept of Kiseitze la milchama alevecha, going out to war against your enemies. It refers to the neshama is coming down into the guf, into the body, coming down into this physical world. And there's a war. The neshama's job is to overcome the Yetzer Hara, to overcome the evil inclination, the nefesh habahamis, the animal soul, and to elevate them. Elevate the body, elevate the animal soul to war. That's what Kiseitze is about. It's about the war of the neshama with the guf and the nefesh habahamis. That's in general, and specifically it refers to the war of the guf, the war of Golus, right? That in doing Golus, so the guf and the nefesh habahamis are even stronger. And there's a war. So that's what Kiseitze is about. What's Ki Sava about? Ki Sava is about coming back to Eretz Yisrael. It's not about Golus. It's about the Jewish people living in Eretz Yisrael, where they're living there peacefully and tranquilly. So it's the exact opposite of Kiseitze. So in other words, Kiseitze is about Golus, and Ki Sava is about living in Eretz Yisrael. Now furthermore, what's the real concept of Ki Sava? Says the Rebbe. The real concept of Ki Sava is not just living in Eretz Yisrael, but it's It's living in Eretz Yisrael in a time and in a state of Geula. Peace, Geula. So in other words, basically the difference between Kiseitz and Kisava is that Kiseitz is talking about our Avodah, and Kisava is talking about the schar for our Avodah, the reward for our Avodah. Kiseitz is about Golas, the Avodah and Golas, and Kisava is about the Geula. So the question is, so how do Golos and Geula come together? How does the Avodah and Golos connect with the Maimedu Matzah, with the state of Geula, state of redemption? And the Rebbe connects it also to the Purkei Avos of that Shabbos. So that Shabbos, the Purkei Avos, they read two Prakim, Perek Aleph and Perek Sheni of Purkei Avos. First Perek of Purkei Avos talks about Moshe Kibbul Torah Misinai, about receiving the Torah, about V'Halmido Talmidim Harbe, about having a lot of students. In other words, it's talking about the Avodah. What is the second Perek of Purkei Avos talking about? Talking about V'da Shematan Schon Shel Tzadikim L'Asad Lovai. That's how it concludes. Talks about knowing about the reward of the Tzadikim, the time to come, the time of the Geula. So seemingly the Avodah in Schar, right, the working and the reward are two different things, two opposite things. First you work and then you get the reward. So how do the two things come together at the same time in the same place? So if you think about it, what's the Rebbe asking over here? The Rebbe is asking our question, which is, if right now I'm doing my Avodah in Golos, how does that connect with Geula? That's essentially the question. How do Kiseitz and Kisava connect? How do Avodah and Schar connect? Seemingly they're two opposite things. So the Nekuda, says the Rebbe, is as follows. Let's read inside, in Siv Daled. It says, Hascholos hakriya the Parshas Kisavai, la'achrei uvehemshech lahakriya the Parshas Kiseitze, he kamei pirush ubir the Parshas Kiseitze. Starting to read Parshas Kisavai right after, in continuation of Parshas Kiseitze, is like an explanation of Parshas Kiseitze. Meaning as follows. Shagam ha'avodah de milchama kiseitze l'milchama alevecha, that even the avodah of the war, going out to war, tzrich aliyas ba'ofen shel menucha v'hes yashvas, has to be in a way of peace, of calmness, of tranquility, in a way of kisavai al haaretz v'yishtav yashavta ba, of entering Eretz Yisrael, inheriting, being misyashiv, settling down. V'yeseidim is furthermore, shebechlolos ha'avodah de kiseitze yeshne kvar me'ein v'dugma v'ad lahascholos ha'mayim d'matzav d'schar kisavai. Furthermore, it's not just that you have to do your avodah in a way of menucha, but in your avodah in general, you already have a taste. Your avodah is already similar, and you've already started, so to say, the state of schar, the state of reward. So it's teaching us, the fact that Kisaveh comes right after Kiseitze, and they read on the same Shabbos, teaches us what our avodah has to be. It has to be in a Kisaveh-dik way, in a Hesyashvas-dik way. It has to be in a way that we're already beginning the Maimidu Matzav, the state of schar. So that's how you connect Kiseitze and Kisavai. And that's the same concept of the two prakim of how you connect the two prakim of in Purkei Avos. It was Signin HaMishnah of the Purkei Avos. It says you have to know that the reward of the righteous is in the time to come, of the tzaddikim. What's the meaning? Your avodah itself has to be in a way that you connect. It says to know, meaning shedas huloshen eskashos vehischabros. Das is the concept of connecting. You have to connect your avodah now with that state of reward of the tzaddikim in the time to come. Hainu shebizman ha'avodah hayem la'asaistem yeshnoi me'ein v'dugma v'haschalos haschayt l'asad lavei. Meaning that in the time of the avodah now, you already are starting. It's already similar to the Maimidu Matzav, to that state of schar, the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes. And the Rebbe connects this also to what it says in Parshas Kiseitze itself. It says b'yoyim ha'sitein schorei. It says that a balabayis, a person who hires workers, he has to pay the workers on the day that they work. He can't delay it to the next day. So that means that although Hashem, the Iker Schar, the main reward is going to be in the time to come, the time of Moshiach and Geulah. However, there you have to say that since we say on this day you'll get the reward, that there's a certain schar that's happening today also. It's happening now as well, as we'll see. Okay, so that's the point. That's the Nakuda. The Nakuda is that the Rebbe is just saying it's Shaykh, meaning in other words, it's the message is. The message is that you have to put it in different terms, that your avodah in Zman HaGolus has to already be Mashiach dik. It has to be Geula dik. It has to be similar. It has to already be like a beginning. It has to be similar to the way it's going to be when Geula comes. Okay. So in order to explain this, basically what we have to understand is we have to take a deeper understanding of a couple things. So we have to understand what is really the nature of the avodah that we're doing. What is it really about? The avodah of Torah mitzvahs. We're serving Hashem, we're doing Torah mitzvahs. What is it really about? So in order to understand that, we have to understand, well, who are we? What is our true identity? What is our relationship with Hashem, and what exactly are we trying to accomplish through our avodah? And when we understand that, so then we'll be able to understand what is the meaning of the schar and how the avodah can connect with the schar. So in order to understand this, what is the essential nature of our avodah? Rebbe asked a question, interesting question. So we say in Chassidus that Kisei Tzilat Milchama refers to the avodah of the neshama coming down into the guf, and in order to be mevared the guf and the nefesh bahamas. So now Chazal say, our sages say that the pasuk is b'milchemes rishus hakasav medaber. Right? It's talking about a milchemes rishus. It's talking about an optional war. So the question is, so applying this to our avodas Hashem, so our avodas Hashem is not optional. So if you're learning Pshut Shel Mikra, you're just learning the simple meaning of the pasuk, so it's not a question. So the pasuk is talking about there's some wars are optional, they're reshus, and some are a chayva. But if you're telling me that we're talking about, according to the previous digatayt, the deeper meaning that it's referring to the avodah with the guf and nefesh bahamas, how could it be a milchemes reshus? How could it be an optional war? It's not optional. A Yid, a Jew, has to. It's a chiyuv. He has to serve Hashem. I was created to serve Hashem, and it's not optional. Which a similar question you have also regarding the whole concept of schar, the whole concept of reward. So, who deserves to be rewarded? A poil, a worker who doesn't have a chiyuv, has no obligation to work for someone else. So if he works for you, you have to pay him. You have to reward him for his work. But in Eved, someone who's a servant, someone who's a slave, he doesn't have to be paid. He's an Eved. So we know that our relationship with Hashem is that we're also Avadim, we're Hashem's servants. Li b'nei Yisroel Avadim, Avadayim. Hashem says that Bnei Yisroel, the Jewish people, they are my servants. So why does Hashem have to give us a schar? Why does He have to reward us? What do we deserve a reward for if it's not optional? So it's a similar question over here. So it's like one question we'll see sort of like answers the other. And what we seem to see over here is a common thread over here, that in a certain sense our avodah is optional, and we do deserve schar. So how is that? So the Rebbe says the idea is because if you look deeper into the pasuk says, "Ki seitzei lamilchama alevecha." It says you should go out to war against your enemies. So let's read in Sivav. It says, "Avodas ha'adam ba'olam hi ba'ofen shel yitzia teitzei mimekayme ha'amiti." A person's avodah in this world is in a way of yitzia, as if he left. He's leaving his true place. Loirak b'yachas la'amidas haneshama ba'olam ha'atzilos, Not just in comparison to where the neshama came from the world of Atzilos, but more than that. If you can, in relation to the original source of the neshama, the first source of the neshama, which is l'mayla mikol seder hashtalshalos, which is higher than the whole seder hashtalshalos, the whole order of the chain-like descent of the godly energy that comes into the world. The neshama comes from a level that's higher than the highest of levels. It says that the thought of the Jewish people came before everything. It says if Hashem consulted the Jewish people regarding the whole creation of existence. Our sages say that Hashem consulted the souls of the righteous, the Jewish people. How is that, and why is that? Because what is the original source? What is the true original identity of the Jewish people? It says, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, we are part of Hashem. It's as if our existence, our identities were one thing with the essence of Hashem. Yisroel, as the Zohar says, the Jewish people and Hashem are literally one. So that's our true identity. The Rebbe connects this also to another part of the Parsha about how the fact that Hashem doesn't want to curse the Jewish people because we're one with Hashem. So now we understand. So that's the concept over here, that we're saying when a Yid is coming, now we can understand what it means at Kiseitze la Milchama. That the Jewish people, when we're going out to war, when we're coming down into this world to do our Avodah, what we're doing, this is a Yetzia. We are leaving our original source. So he explains. Since the Jewish people are part of Hashem, we're one with Hashem. We're completely beyond the whole existence of the world. We're completely beyond the whole concept of even doing avodah in this world. And therefore, when we are coming down to this world, when we're leaving our true place, which is our true existence, the way we are one with Hashem, in order to do our avodah to elevate the world, it's so to say after we agreed, so to say, that Hashem should create this whole world and this whole existence. Therefore, the fact that we're coming down into this world, it's as if it's optional. It's not optional, so optional I think is the wrong word. It's as if we gave Rishus. In other words, we agreed to this. In other words, like this. Depends on their perspective. If you're going to talk about, if you're going to look at a Yid the way he exists in this world, so then his avodah is not optional. Why did he come down to this world? What's the purpose? To serve his Creator, to serve Hashem. But if you're going to talk about the true existence of a Yid that's higher than the world, but if you're going to view a Yid the way he is, mitzad his true existence, at that level, that he's one with Hashem, and therefore the whole concept of coming down to the world is he's leaving his true place, to the extent that, so to say, Hashem had to consult with them, then it's with our reshus, with our consent. So, basically what the Rebbe is doing over here, he's giving us a whole different perspective on the essential nature of what our avodah is about, or how our avodah starts. So, usually we just tend to think of ourselves as a metzius. We exist, and okay, now the question is, what's the purpose of our existence? To serve Hashem. Okay. Rebbe takes it a drop deeper. He says, your existence didn't start with your descent of your neshama into this world. Your true existence, your true identity is that you're one with Hashem. So if you view your avodah from that perspective, it's a whole different thing. It's not that your avodah starts in the here and now. It started before. It started when you were one with Hashem, and you, so to say, you consented that we should do this whole thing and create the world and come down into this world. And this also answers the question about schar. V'alpize muven gam klolos ha'inin de tashlum schar she'enei shayach ba'avodah shemitzad hachiyuv ka'avodah sa'aved l'adonai. How are we deserving of schar, of reward, if we're just Hashem's servants who are not deserving of reward? Since if you view a yid in his the way he is, according to his true existence, his true identity, which is higher than the world, so us coming down into this world is rishus. That's so to say, it was with our consent. Okay. So that's point number one. Now we have to understand, so what's the goal? What's the purpose? So we're getting schar. Schar for what? What's the reward for doing the avodah? So what's the whole avodah about? So basically the Rebbe says like this. The Rebbe says the whole purpose of our avodah, we know, is dir b'tachtonim, to make a dwelling place for Hashem in this world. So, now what does it mean to make a dwelling place for Hashem in this world? Hashem is everywhere, and right. So what does it mean that we have to make a dir b'tachtonim? So what it means is, before the world was created, so there was no concept of that Hashem's could be concealed. So Hashem created this concept that there could be tachtonim, there could be something which is low in the sense that Hashem is not revealed. And the goal is, in this finite and low existence where godliness is not revealed, through our avodah, we should reveal how Hashem is here as well. Not just that Hashem is here, but the essence of Hashem is here. So how does a yid make this happen? So we are the ones that make this happen. So in order for us to make this happen, this requires, so to say, two opposite ideas. On the one hand, in order for us to make a dir b'tachtonim, so what does a yid need to do? He needs to, so to say, leave his source. He has to leave the mode of existence where he's one with Hashem and come down into tachtonim, coming down into a world where godliness is not apparent, godliness is not revealed, where, so to say, the yid is like a separate entity from Hashem. He has to, so to say, become a part of tachtonim, part of the lower realms. How do you do that, so to say? Through going into a body, going into an nefesh bahamas, an animal soul, and becoming a separate existence, so to say, from Hashem. So, in other words, the yid, so to say, has to become part of tachtonim. That's step one. But obviously, the ultimate goal is to make a dira b'tachtonim. What is a dira b'tachtonim? A dwelling place for Hashem. The concept of a dwelling place is that a dwelling, a dira, is a place where a person feels totally at home. He's totally revealed without any completely, unbridled revelation, so to say. So, how does a yid make that happen? How does he make that there should be gili lakus, revelation of Hashem, of atzmas mahuz, of the essence of Hashem in this world? It's through revealing in this low world his true existence, how he's one with Hashem. So it's like two opposite things. On the one hand, so a yid, so to say, has to go into a guf, and he has to go to a place where there's a Maggid, where there's, so to say, there's things that oppose godliness. There's a body, there's a world, where it's tough, and you don't see that what it's all about. And at the same time, so what's his goal? His goal is to reveal in this place where he really came from, how he's one with Hashem. So let's read Besignon Acher, the end of the Zion. Hachidush shebiridas haneshama lamata hu shegam biyoysa b'vchinas mitzias hari uchadem atzmusa yizbarich. What's the whole chiddush of the neshama coming down lamata? In other words, what are we accomplishing? What we're accomplishing is that even when the neshama comes down here and becomes a mitzias, it becomes, so to say, an independent existence from Hashem, it's still one with Hashem. This is emphasized by the fact that even when a Jew is at the lowest state, he still can't become separate from Hashem himself. That's why through a Yid's avodah here, that's what creates that even in Tachtonim, even in the lower realms, it should become a dwelling place for the essence of Hashem. That's how it happens. That's essentially what we're accomplishing. So maybe just to explain a little bit over here, this idea that even when a Jew is in the lowest place, he still can't become separate from Hashem. This is like the ultimate expression. So Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya that you see that even a Yid who's, so to say, a Kal Shabakalim, like the lowest of the low that does every single Avera, that, so to say, doesn't seem to care at all about Hashem. He just does whatever he wants, and he's totally not fulfilling Torah mitzvahs. And suddenly, now he's given a nisayon. He's given a test. Okay, bottom line, are you going to give up? He's forced with a test, and as unfortunately happened many times throughout our Geulah, throughout our exiles, forced with a test. Either give up your Yiddishkeit, give up your religion, convert to another religion, right, or will take your life. So then suddenly the Yid wakes up, suddenly the Pintel Yid and the Kudas Hayados, that the Jew inside of him wakes up and he says, no, I'm willing to give up my life. Yeah, so what happened over here? What happened over here? What happened over here? What happened is because essentially what is a Jew? A Jew is one with Hashem. Literally a part of Hashem. So what's happening when that happens? What's happening is you have a Yid who's Tachtoinim. He's like a Tachtoinim Yid. He's a Yid who's the lowest of the low. And then suddenly what happens? He's forced with a test. And suddenly you see that he's one with Hashem. So what does that make? That makes a Dira B'Tachtoinim. Hashem is now revealed in the lowest place. Okay, so now we can understand, now what's the schar? The Rebbe, by the way, the Rebbe connects this also to the concept of kisavai. But let's move on to siftes. So, the Rebbe says as follows: "V'hasem l'toichin ha'avoda, nase gam tashlum haschar al ha'avoda." Now we can understand what is the reward for the avoda. So the avoda we understand is to make a dira b'tachtoinim, to reveal how even when the neshama becomes a mitzias, that's one with Hashem. Schar mitzvah. So the Alter Rebbe says the reward of a mitzvah is essentially the mitzvah itself. Schar mitzvah hi mitzvah ba'atzma. What is the meaning of that? After the Alter Rebbe explains that the ultimate purpose of the creation of this world is that Hashem wants a dwelling place in this world. Mamshech, he continues, he says that when Mashiach comes, especially by Tchias HaMesim, when the dead will be resurrected, that's the ultimate goal of creation. Then he continues in the next parak. That this ultimate perfection of the times of Mashiach and when the dead will be resurrected, which is a revelation of the infinite light of Hashem in this physical world, it is dependent on our avodah throughout Galus. He says that what causes the reward of the mitzvah, the revelation of Hashem, is the mitzvah itself. Every mitzvah that a Jew does, he accomplishes this idea. He draws down the revelation, the infinite revelation of Hashem, into this physical world. In other words, the reward for the avodah isn't something different or separate than the avodah. It is really what the avodah itself is about. So So the reward of the avodah, it's not something else. Sometimes you think of reward as like the type of reward you might give a child. You say, tell the child, if you do ... so I'll give you a candy. So the candy has nothing to do with what the child did. It's just a candy. You give him a candy it's a completely separate thing. But our reward for our avodah is a different type of reward. It's the revelation of what we're accomplishing. Right now we're doing avodah, we're serving Hashem, we're doing Torah mitzvahs. But it's making a deal with Tachtonim. What's the reward? That all of that is going to be revealed. And now we understand what's the concept. That Hashem is rewarding us on the very day that we are doing the Avodah. The Kivan shal yidei asiyas kol mitzvah nimshach gili ein soif baruch hu. Since through every single mitzvah it draws down a revelation of Hashem in this world. Nimtza sheyeshnei tashlum aschar. So what follows is that there's a reward Hashem is rewarding us. Not only every single day. Hashem is rewarding us through every single individual mitzvah that we're doing. In a specific thing, a Geula pratis. Hashem is giving us an individual Geula, an individual redemption through every single mitzvah that we are doing. So that is the reward that's happening every single moment, through every single mitzvah, every single day. And then the Ikar Avodah is Shagam Ikar Aschar Shel Eis Ata Soger B'Teva. Even the main reward, which right now is, so to say, closed in a box, as it says in Chassidus. That box, which has the whole revelation that's going to be revealed later, it's now in our possession. We also have the ability to open the box, to reveal the reward, to reveal the godliness that we've already brought into this world. To adding one more mitzvah, as the Rambam says, which through that one mitzvah we can tip the scales and bring redemption to the whole world. The Geula HaMitzvah Vashleima Yidei Mashiach Tzedkenu, the ultimate complete Geula through Mashiach. She'oz b'Meisa Mashiach b'frat k'sheyichyu ha'meisim yizgala haschar. Because when Mashiach comes, and especially when the dead will be resurrected, then this reward will be revealed. Meaning we will experience the ultimate revelation of the infinite light of Hashem in this physical world. As it says that the glory of Hashem will be revealed and all flesh will see together that the word of Hashem has spoken. So in other words, not only is Hashem giving us the reward every single moment, through every single mitzvah that we're doing, since every time we do a mitzvah, we draw down a Geula and Seif into this world, and Hashem, so to say, gives us a personal Geula. But we also have the ability to bring the ultimate Geula. A Yid, through doing one mitzvah, is able to, so to say, tip the scales, as the Rambam puts it, and bring the ultimate Geula, which is the ultimate revelation. Then the Rebbe says, "When Neisef al Kabbalah Saschar ba'Ofen Shebiyom Esitin Schara Yesh Negam Matan Schara and Shel Tzadikim LaAsid Lavei LaMachal LaKabel Schara." In addition to receiving the reward that you're receiving today, there's also the reward of Lamachar, of tomorrow, of LaAsid Lavei, of the time to come. Klolos Saschar al Maseidu V'Avedis Seidu the Kol Bnei Yisrael Shebachal Adayres B'Meshach Shis Alfi Shnin Havei Alma. It's the revelation that all the Jewish people will receive as a result of their avodah throughout the 600,000 years of the world's existence. Koilo gam haschar al avodah d'bnei Yisrael b'meisa Mashiach, b'frat k'sheyichyu ha'meisim. She'oz davke tiyah, she'avodah d'limud ha'teira v'kimitzu b'taklas ha'shleimos. B'limud ha'teira teir chadashim iti teitzei, gilu primis ha'teira soitamar tzvuneseu, v'kiyim ha'mitzvahs. Noisav al ha'shleimos t'kiyim kol ha'mitzvahs gam ha'tluis b'ha'knisa la'aretz, v'yerusha v'yeshiva, u'binyan beis ha'mikdash, so what the Rebbe is adding over here is in Elef HaShvi, in the 7th millennium, so then there's an additional schar, which will be the schar also for the avodah of Yidden that they're going to do during Yemei HaMashiach and during Tchias HaMeisim, which during Yemei HaMashiach will have a whole different level of Torah and a whole different level of mitzvahs. That's already another point. So basically, what the Rebbe has explained over here, he's clarified to us what the nature of our avodah is and what is the nature of our schar. So we understand now that what our avodah essentially is about and what the schar is about, it's about revealing who we really are. A yid is really one thing with Hashem. He's one thing with atzmos and mahus, with the essence of Hashem. And the whole purpose of the neshama coming down here to this world is to reveal that in tachtonim, to reveal that in this lowly existence. Even when the neshama, so to say, becomes independent from Hashem, it still remains connected. And that's how we make dir b'tachtonim. And what Yemais HaMashiach means, and the reward of a yid is that is literally revealed in this world, and we recognize it and we see it. Okay, so now we can begin to understand what it means to live with Mashiach. What does it mean that even when we're doing the avodah of kiseitse, of going out to war against the guf, against the nefesh habahamis in this physical lowly world, we already are connected with kisavai, with the whole maimeru matzav of la'asad lavai, the whole state of being of being in Eretz Yisrael, in a matzav of redemption and Geula. It means like this. It says the Rebbe as follows. We have a taste, we have a beginning of the whole inyan of the reward, we have it in the avodah itself. Before you even get the reward for your particular avodah, as soon as you start your avodah, you already, even when you're starting your avodah, you already have a taste. You already have a beginning of the schar that's going to come later. How so? It's all based on our understanding of what we're really doing. The whole idea that we're explaining over here is that really the avodah and the schar is really one concept. It's through the avodah of a yid, who's one with the essence of Hashem, we make the revelation of the essence of Hashem in this world. So this concept, it relates even before we start the avodah. Lifnei habriya, even before creation. Before the world existed, Hashem was the only thing that existed. It's only that there's what's the chiddush? What's the whole purpose of creation? In other words, the whole chiddush of existence, of creation, is that now you have the revelation of the essence of Hashem in the world, in tachtonim, in the lower realms, in the lowly existence. But the concept of what you're bringing into the tachtonim is the same, is the essence of Hashem. In other words, if the avodah would be to create something completely new somehow that didn't exist before, okay. So you don't have it till you get there, right? You don't have it till you get there, right? But what is the whole teichen of our avodah? It's to bring the revelation of the essence of Hashem, which is what everything started with, right? Before the world existed, the only thing that existed was Hashem. The whole purpose of creation is just to reveal that in creation. So the schar, which is the revelation of Hashem Himself, you have it even before creation, even before you start the avodah. That's the starting point. The starting point is that the only thing that exists is Hashem. Now Hashem says, I want that there should be creation. I want that there should be tachtonim. There should be a world. There should be a place where, so to say, I'm not revealed, I'm not apparent, and I want to reveal myself there as well. So the schar, meaning the ultimate goal, you really have even before you started. Because what's the goal? To reveal Hashem. So that's what you have even before you started. So now so how does this relate to a yid's avodah? The inyan zeh yachol v'tzarich liyas nikur kvar b'hascholas avodah. This concept has to be how it's all about revealing the essence of Hashem. That has to be noticeable even when you start your avodah. Eina maschila b'maydu matzav ha'hoiva. You have to realize that your avodah is not starting now. After the world's creation and after the neshama came down to here. So to say, you're starting in the future, so to say. The matzav of the future is the same as the matzav of the past. Before the world's creation, which means it's noticeable in a Jew that it's noticeable over here in a Jew down here that he is one with the essence of Hashem. It's noticeable in the world, the way the world existed, so to say, before its creation, which was that the only thing that existed was Hashem. That's the punchline. Through that, it makes it easier to fulfill the ultimate goal of creation, to make a dir b'tachtainim. Put it in other words, it's like this. So, a person could do his avodah. He could start with, okay, I know that I exist, I'm here. Now I have to think, okay, why do I exist? What's the purpose of my creation? Okay, Hashem created me to serve Him. Okay, Hashem created me to serve Him. Now, why did Hashem create me? Because the ultimate goal is to make a dir b'tachtainim, to make a dir for Hashem. So your yesod, your basis is that I exist. I exist, I'm here, right? I was created, I'm in existence, I'm a metzias. And then I build on that. Okay, now why do I exist? What's my purpose? Okay, so I'm here to serve Hashem. The Rebbe says you have to start earlier. You have to go deeper. Really, you don't exist. Really, you're one with Hashem. That's the starting point. And that's where you started, and that's where you're going to. That's where you're going to. Now, in middle, so there's like this, you came down here in order to bring down and reveal your true existence of who you really are, your true identity here in this world. So if you have such a perspective, it makes it so much easier to fulfill the purpose of creation, to do what you're meant to do, to fulfill Torah mitzvahs, to serve Hashem. Because you realize this whole thing, it's really the truth, your true existence, your true identity is not the way it is now. It's the way it's going to be. It's the way it used to be. That's how you started, and that's where you're ending up. This is just a temporary thing, so to say, in order to accomplish this amazing thing of dir b'tachtainim, of revealing Hashem in this lowly world. Maybe to give a mashal, to give us a little, maybe a parable, based on what it says in other places to this whole concept, to bring it down a little bit. So, Mishnah says we are compared to, we are Bnei Melachim, right? We are sons of kings, right? We're like the crown prince. So they tell the story of a king. There was a king who had a son, an only child, the prince. And the king, what he wanted to, he wanted that, so his son, the prince, was a good boy, and he acted like a prince. The king realized that, when the prince is here in the palace, so it's easy for him to be a prince. It's easy for him to act like a prince because he's here in the palace together with me, and he recognizes that's who he is. Everybody knows him, right? Everybody sees him that way. So there's no kunst. There's nothing. They didn't accomplish anything. So the king says, you know what? What I want to do is I'm going to send away the prince to a faraway land, a place that people hardly even know that I'm the king. And the ultimate goal is I want that even in such a place, the prince should realize that he's really a prince, and he should act the way that a prince should act. And when the prince acts that way, what he's going to accomplish is is that not only will bring out his true colors and show really the strength of his character and his ability to act like a prince, but people around him will also begin to recognize how special he is, and they'll realize where he comes from, how he's my son, the king's son, and they will realize and that they want to have a connection with me, the king, and they want to become my subjects. They want to become my servants. And then I'll be able to make my palace not only here, but also far away, also over there in the faraway land. So what does the king do? What the king does is he takes his son, right, and he gives him a list of things, of do's and don'ts. A list of do's and don'ts. He says, these are the things that you're meant to do. And initially, the prince isn't even aware of what the whole goal is, right? His father just tells him, "Here, I'm giving you a list of do's and don'ts. I'm sending you away to a faraway land." And he sends the son there. And eventually, what happens is the son forgets who he is, right? And he doesn't even, he hardly realizes that he's the crown prince. All he knows is that he has this list that he got from his father. He remembers he has a father. He hardly even remember who his father is, but he just remembers he has a father who gave him this list of do's and don'ts. And this is what he's supposed to do. He's not sure why he has to do it. And it's very difficult for him, and he tries his best, and sometimes sometimes he follows it, sometimes he doesn't follow it. And he knows eventually that, if he follows it, it's going to be good for him. If he doesn't follow it, it's not going to be good. But all in all, he's not really sure what the ultimate purpose of all of this is, right? He just knows that this is ultimately for his good and for the good of everyone around him, and he knows that this is the truth. So what does the king do? The king does so. He sends a messenger. To remind and tell the crown prince of who he really is. Tells the crown prince. So the messenger comes and he tells the crown prince, let me tell you something. You are the crown prince. Your father is the king. The reason why he sent you here was because he wanted you to reveal and show how even when you're so far away from him, you can still act like that crown prince. And this list that he gave you, this list of do's and don'ts, is the way that you're going to show and reveal you are the crown prince. All the things that it says here are things that a crown prince does, and the don'ts are things that the crown prince doesn't do. And when you do these things, you are revealing, you are showing yourself and the people around you what it truly means to be the crown prince. And he goes further. He says, and when you act this way, right, eventually what's going to happen is the people around you are going to recognize that you are the crown prince. And they are going to decide to become the servants of the king's subjects. And then your father, the king himself, is going to bring his palace here in this faraway land. When the crown prince hears that, so that suddenly gives him a whole new appreciation, a whole new chayas, a whole new excitement of what it's all about. Because he realizes that all these do's and don'ts, it's all about, he understands what it's really about. It's about revealing who he really is. And, right, yeah. Then what happens is that then the king sends, every once in a while he sends another messenger to remind the crown prince again. And every single messenger explains more and more to the crown prince what he's doing and what he's doing and he's not doing, how this is showing how he's the crown prince, and it's bringing him closer to that time when his father, the king, is going to actually come here, and then the whole world will see how he's the crown prince, and his father will bring his palace right here. And then finally, the king sends a messenger. The messenger comes and he said, you know what, the time has come. You're almost finished. You're almost finished. You are right now. You've basically done. You've basically finished your job, and any moment now, your father, the king, is going to come and reveal and show, and because everybody's going to recognize very soon. People are starting to recognize already how you are the crown prince, and you're realizing how you're the crown prince, and any moment now the king is about to come and everybody's going to accept him as their king, and he's going to make his palace right here and there. So you can imagine, right? You can imagine when the crown prince, when he's doing all the do's and the don'ts, he's like living with that. He's just imagining how right now he's already in the palace, and everybody sees how he's the crown prince. So even though it hasn't yet happened yet, right? But he knows it's about to happen, and it gives him such excitement, such a chayas in what he's doing. So what's the nimshal? The nimshal is like this. So who's the king? The king is Hashem. The crown prince is the Jewish people. Every single Jew, like the Baal Shem Tov says, it's like the Eibusher Ben Yachid is Hashem's only son. And Hashem sent us to a faraway land. Hashem sent us down into the neshama, down into this world. And in a place where we forget that we're the crown prince. We don't realize that we're really one thing with Hashem. And furthermore, he sent us into Golus, into a faraway place where people don't even recognize the uniqueness of a Yid. And what's the ultimate goal? He gave us the list of the do's and don'ts. He gave us Torah and mitzvahs, right? And the whole purpose of all of that is because Torah and mitzvahs, they reveal who we really are. Doing a mitzvah means showing that you're one thing with Hashem. Staying away from Aveira, staying away from those things that are unfit for the Ben HaMelech. And so for years, Yidden were Mekayim Torah mitzvahs. They didn't understand why. They didn't understand what was the whole purpose. Why are we doing this? What are we accomplishing? They didn't really, their hair, as we say in Yiddish, they didn't really internalize the fact that we're Bnei Melachim. Then the Eibusher sent down the neshama of the Baal Shem Tov, the first messenger. What did the Baal Shem Tov came in and he revealed this point, how the Eibusher, how every single Yid is a Ben Yachid of Hashem. Every single Yid, every single Jew is Hashem's only son. We're the crown prince. We're the Bnei Melachim. And through doing Torah and mitzvahs, that's how we reveal Hashem in this world. And then Hashem kept on sending more messengers. The neshamas of the Rebbeim, the Maggid, and the Alter Rebbe of Chabad, the Alter Rebbe, which they kept on explaining this whole concept more and more and more, how through Torah and mitzvahs we're revealing elikus, godliness in this world. Until eventually is going to come the time when the Nigla Kvei Davaya, then Hashem is going to be revealed in this world. And which that's the time of Yemaisa Mashiach. And then the last messenger was the Rebbe. The Eibusher sent the Rebbe's neshama down here, and the Rebbe told us that Higi Azman Geulah, that the time that the king, the Eibusher, Hashem, that he's going to reveal himself in this world, the time has come. It's about to happen. And so, what's the Rebbe's message to us? Just like the Ben HaMelech, is that it's just about to happen. The whole world is about to recognize how Yidden are Bnei Melachim, how we are one thing with Hashem. And the whole world is going to accept upon themselves, like we say in Aleinu, that they're all going to accept upon themselves the yoke of your kingship. And recognizing this, realizing this, that how the Ma'amid U'Matzav of Yemaisa Mashiach, this is really what we have been accomplishing throughout the entire existence of this world. And this is what is about to happen now, says the Rebbe. That makes it so much easier. That gives us so much more of a chayas in fulfilling Torah mitzvahs. And so now this is, says the Rebbe, now this is the connection between Kiseitze and Kisavai. Kiseitze is about going out to war. So right now it's still a war. You still have a guf, you still have an nefesh bahamis, right? Don't kid yourself. You still have a body, there's still temptations, right? We're still in Golus. The king hasn't revealed himself yet. But if you focus and you realize how all of this is really just part of a bigger picture, how really, where do we start? We started, the Rebbe says, Alevecha, we started above our enemies. Our true existence is with Bnei Melachim. We're one thing with Atzmas Amos. Then, and that's where we're going very soon. We're going to Kisavai. We're going entering Eretz Yisroel, and then it's going to be Menucha v'Hisyashrus, and then there's not going to be a war anymore. Then everything's going to be peaceful, everything will be tranquil. It'll be revealed how the whole world is one with Hashem. So what does that create? The Rebbe says that even now your avodah is already in an oifen of Hisyashrus. Already, it gives a whole calmness. In other words, you realize the whole war and everything. Yeah, it's a war. It's really hard and difficult. But if you have a higher perspective and you really, but who am I and what is really happening? Where did I come from and where are we going? And this is about to happen. and it's going to be revealed how one thing with Hashem, and suddenly the whole avodah, the whole battle, the whole war against the guf, the nefesh bahamas, your body and everything, it becomes menucha v'yashus. Of course it's a struggle. But you have this greater perspective, this whole chayas, this whole excitement that gives a whole different meaning and a whole different appreciation of the avodah that you're doing. So that's one of the inyanim over here, living with Mashiach. Living with Mashiach means that to realize how really the whole Maimon of Matzav of Mashiach, we're creating it now. And not only are we creating it now, but it's happening. It's about to happen now. And when you have that hakara, when you have that recognition, so your whole avodah changes. And I think the main point, maybe one of the big chiddush the Rebbe is saying over here, is that it's not. Sometimes you think, okay, I'll get there. Right now, I'm a simple Jew. I'll do Torah mitzvahs, and eventually, I'll do it to bring Mashiach. And then the Rebbe is saying this is where you have. This is the starting point. The Rebbe compares it in the footnote over here. It's like footnote 62. Every single day, how do you start your day? The first thing in the morning, you wake up. You say, I acknowledge you, Hashem. But in Hebrew, what do you say first? First you say Moida, then you say Ani. In English, you don't say it that way. In English, you say I acknowledge. In Hebrew, you say Moida Ani. Acknowledge I. You start off with bittul. You realize that acknowledgement. Acknowledge Hashem. I'm one thing with Hashem. Then there's Ani. Then there's me. And when you do that, then the ani reaches before you, before Hashem Himself. This is really a big yesod that Chassidus and the Rebbe teach us, that these high levels of recognizing that we're one with Hashem and all these things. This is not something that we're going to get there. It's something you have to start with. It's a starting point. The starting point. You have to start the first thing is I know that I'm one thing with Hashem. I know I'm the Ben HaMelech. Okay, I now have a guf, I have an nefesh bahamas, right? I have struggles. But you have to start the first thing that I know that this is just, this is just a game. You can put it that way. This is the game. Really, I'm one thing with Hashem. Hashem sent me down here for a purpose, and that's why I now feel, in this confined existence and with all these temptations. But really, where do I come from? From a much higher level. And that's where we're going, and it's about to happen. So we should be zocha that it should actually happen. We should have the schar. We should have Yemaisa Mashiach. Take it from Yad Mamash immediately.